Hello and welcome to Conspiracy Boulder.
You're not a boulder, you're a rock!
Welcome to this edition of Conspiracy Boulder News. Today we look at the incredibly sad and strange story of the fleeing refugees. Millions of people from the Middle East, Africa, and Asia are fleeing the unrest in their homelands, and are looking for a better place to live. For example, since 2011, about 1/5 of the population of Syria, over 4 million Syrians, have been uprooted because of a long civil war. More than 2 million are children. Many have fled to neighboring countries. But it's not that easy, and no good deed goes unpunished. Turkey has taken in about 2 million people. What the old-fashioned media doesn't mention is that afterwards, Turkey's economy, tourist industry, and infrastructure suffered unimaginable losses and setbacks. The country of Lebanon has taken in over 1 million refugees. Amazing, since Lebanon only had 4 million Lebanese people to begin with. But the old-fashioned media never asks, how's that worked out for you? So we asked, how has that worked out? And the Lebanese Social Affairs Minister, Derbas, said Lebanon's infrastructure, which was projected to last a decade and a half, has been so worn out and damaged by increased use by refugees, that it will have to be completely rebuilt in less than 2 years. He also said that Lebanon is suffering enormous economic losses since refugees are using up natural resources, as well as an enormous amount of electricity, without any ability to pay for anything they consume. The already beleaguered people of Lebanon are stuck paying the bill for their new guests. Worse yet, a reported 500,000 tourists have cancelled plans to visit Lebanon, creating even more economic hardship and losses for the Lebanese people. Think about it. Then we visit with the sad people of Greece, already suffering from the worst economic crisis in Greece's history. They are now being overrun by refugees as well. Today, new refugees joined the 13,000 refugees already on the Greek island of Lesvos. Many refugees reportedly grew impatient at what they perceived as the lack of welcoming, and the slow registration process, and began rioting, fighting, beating, destroying property, and throwing rocks at residents and the police. We were told by our European desk that the panicked mayor called for a state of emergency, as police tried to protect their Greek town, and had to resort to tear gas and flash grenades to regain control of the streets from the crazed and rampaging refugees. At the same time, refugees swarmed the country of Hungary as Hungarian officials seemed woefully overwhelmed. Refugees expressed anger for the Hungarians' lack of ability to help them, and broke out of camps and destroyed property, as they forced their way through Hungary. Reportedly often chanting, roving groups of refugees refused to cooperate with the authorities of the country that they had trespassed into, and often refused food and water offered to them by police officers and civilians, pushing the food away with screams of "No food! No Hungary!" The Hungarian Prime Minister vowed not to let Europeans become, quote, "a minority on our own continent." End quote. In the meanwhile, thousands and thousands of refugees continued marching on foot through Hungary towards Austria and Germany. German Chancellor Angela Merkel announced she was opening the doors of her country to refugees, and Germany expects between 5 and 10,000 refugees today alone, and some 800,000 refugees and migrants in total this year. We'll ask, how's that working out for you, in a follow-up report. In contrast, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced that Israel started building a fence to protect itself from refugees and other illegal immigrants. Netanyahu said, quote, "We will not allow Israel to be submerged by a wave of illegal migrants and terrorist activists." End quote. Israel. Our only friend and ally in the Middle East. Full of really smart people. And the Israeli Prime Minister calls the refugees, quote, illegal migrants and terrorist activists. End quote. How very, very interesting. Is Israel warning us that the refugees may include terrorists? If Israel isn't willing to risk their country's people, why are so many European leaders not taking their lead? Does Israel know something we don't know about the potential terrorist tendencies and violent nature of some of these refugees? Think about it. Conspiracy Boulder News will return after this break.